Well, hi, everybody. It's Thursday. I was just changing out of my one pair of socks into my other pair of socks and singing along with my favorite Mr. Rogers music. But anyhow, this is the one page we were doing last night during the live stream, and drawing it in various markers. Markers. They're not just for breakfast anymore. I sort of got off track last night because I had initially intended to do some real experimentation, and I didn't. I ended up drawing in marker. The theme for this is from Chris K. It's Chizuku Mogami, which is spirits incorporated, like, in objects. And so this is going to turn into a conversation from these various objects. And yeah, hi Linda, how you doing? Welcome aboard. Hi Tim. So this is what I'd started last night, and this is where we left it off. The only thing I did after I'd turned off the camera was I put these boxes down below, and I'd finished coloring the fireplace brick part. I just thought it needed to sell a little more application of that, just so you could see it. And then I haven't drawn in the background or anything, and I keep the base color pen aside so that I don't lose it. Yesterday's page, or Tuesday's page, was ink. And this is the one that we started doing there, I think. Tuesday, Wednesday, I don't know what day it is. I thought it was Thursday. Hi Chris, welcome aboard. So this is the panels that these panels I started drawing during the stream, and I'd shown these before, but I'm gonna show them again. These are some of the pages that I scribble and doodle in my lap while I'm watching the television. So this is the two drawings that we'd done during the stream. Add a little bit of a wave effect. And what I did was I went through all of these random doodle pages where I'm just sketching images. And so I've used this in something else, but these 4 little images, minus whatever this box is on the floor, were incorporated into today's page, as well as some of these elements here, like the view of a balcony through an apartment window or a hallway. I chose that hallway over that hallway. This is more institutional. That's more of a, hallway in an apartment building. And then this large courtyard setting. So I took those elements off of there, and we put them in our page. I'm all right with how it came out. If you've ever lived in the country and then lived in the city, maybe this speaks to you. But this goes so far as to have her coming in off of a boat towards the city itself. So talk about coming from a rural environment. Boy, oh boy, that's commitment. So these are the same drawings that I've done a whole whack load of. That's what all this stuff is. That has been used in some different projects. And so I'll show you. Let me get this out of the way. Move it. These are sketches and scribbles and ideas that I've been going through for a dance number that I'm doing for the big single book project that is to come out directly after One Page Volume 3, which is in production. We just started. We started getting it together. Started it this morning. So in this panel here that you see that I've doodled, the stars. How do you draw such great stars, Chris? Man, am I glad you asked. I'll trace them. Stencils, yay! So yeah, this was handy. This is a little stencil set that I found at a dollar store, and it has one for circles, whee, and triangles and squares. So I used that and drew up this background that I then scanned. Same with this. Haven't used this, I don't believe, these two elements, but there's another big scene there. There's another big scene there. I've utilized that already. So use this lovely, lovely vista. And so I've been taking these things and putting them into pages. So this is where this background in this scene comes from. And then it's a case of putting these characters over top. And now I've done a whole bunch of these characters on cardstock, like so. And then I lay them over top of another scene. Hold on, we're almost there, like so. So this is all part of the dance number bit of business that I'm doing. So bear with me, folks. We're exciting times at the OK Corral. So this is another project that I'm in production of. Like, it gets a little wacky at one point where there's a big dance number coming up. It's just downright silly. These are little renditions of all the major dancers in the heyday of Hollywood dance musicals. So yeah, so this is a terrible setting, absolute terrible settings. But so the idea is to have him going, "Come on over here, ladies," and then "Come on over here, ladies," and I didn't like those backgrounds for that. So, but I think the wider vista is the best one to use. So, but that's the big closing bit that's being put together for this story that I showed last night. And this is the what's been called Stream of Conceitedness, but we'll see what it's called now, because Lori's going to rename it. But you can see how in the background of some of these images with titles on them for sections of the story, these are where I'm using some of those other elements that you saw on those quick sketched compositions. So there's real benefit to it. There's a whole bunch more. So there's real benefit to utilizing those opportunities that will present themselves from the other side things that you're doing. So don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, because you never know how that's going to come together. This is one of the pages that I've to color. To finish inking this top panel, and then to color, this is where a big teddy bear attacks. Don't look for big logic there. And then I've got the other pages to finish up. This is robots versus UFO part of the story. This story is bonkers. But that's a page called Robot. I thought about doing this as a graphic on a T-shirt, but not as such yet. So there's the stuff that I'm finishing off for that book. Yeah, 12 pages and it's done. And it'll be done in the same format as these turkeys. So same as the 1 pages and the alphabet. This will be the new book. So there's and it'll have the same sort of thing as I do with these, with the uniform sides of the books. And that way, if these are on someone's shelf, as they're so, lovely that they've picked them up, then you'll have this consistency going on. So some fun in the sun, folks. This 1 page 2 printed slightly lighter than 1 page 1, so it's not a crisp red. It's more like an orange on the side. And, there's a little disappointed. Can I show my drawings from last night? Yeah. Well, I didn't do much more than the stream. All I did was put in panel shapes for the bottom. But this is the thing that we did with markers last night. But, oh, Chris says, love those thumbnails. That's very nice. So there's the spirit starting. So, okay, placement for word balloon or word balloon. Psst, hey, wake up. What? So Chris sent me a little link that shows me how to translate, so that I can have this guy speak in Japanese. very exciting. Very exciting. So looking good in those colors. Okay, thanks. I appreciate that. So this is done with various markers. And I will finish that later on. But for the time being, we're going to set it aside. Now, some of the patterns, I showed you these big stencils, right? But some of these little patterns that are in today's page, like the polka dot backgrounds in the sky and the wave pattern that's in the water, these are from these just stencil sheets that, people, may well use for like something like jelly plating or, I like to put them in pages. I'm different like that. That's why my friends call me Whiskers. So yeah, there's all kinds of neat little things that can come out of this. So we're going to stay on that track today. You try to use these complicated suckers, which you can't really see on the screen. So you can see the other ones because A, they're white, not clear, and B, there's paint all over them. It's going to look interesting with Japanese writing. Yeah, hopefully I do it correctly and I'm not, translating, I love the color of your goat, So this is some more of these images that have been sketched. This was me questioning whether or not to do a new cover for this book. I'm still debating it. These are just random pages for, I don't know. I don't know. That are for this project. This is a project called Elmwood that I did 11 issues of, and then the pandemic happened, and so I've only done random pages here and there since. And this is me, working. This will be the next full book that I do. This and then included in this are some of. Whoops, dropped it. This is me drawing a face. This is some of the drawings of the character from Stream of Conceitedness that, get put into all these different scenes. So just silly business. But so I'll just sit down and doodle this on a page. Just, Yep. Exciting times. So all kinds of little things going on at once. And just keeping busy, really. Just organizing myself over here. Just trying to keep busy with the different things that I've got going on. I got the start already into the next full book, the finishing movements in this book, a portrait of somebody that went nowhere. Great. Yeah, so the reason that the book is called Stream of Conceitedness is because the character is based on me, and it's a stream of consciousness book. So that's why I called it Stream of Conceitedness. But Lori doesn't think the conceited part in the title is, great. So she's usually got good guts on these things. So let's see what I've got paper-wise here. Just a whole bunch of scribbly-doos and panel shapes for nothing. But yeah, it's a silly book. Corbin's over here beside me, wondering, if I'm talking, why am I not looking at him? Why am I some kind of jerk? So I thought we'd try some different stuff. Let's get this out of the way. This is just random bits of paper that, I would start doodling on and then walk away and go do something else and leave these things behind. So we'll just flip them over. Look at that brand new paper. Just gonna find my tip. I've got a couple things that I'm working on. I'm doing some little side things, editing, and to try to figure out editing some video. Oh, Corbin, Chris says meow. Hold on, let's see what he says to that. I was this morning I was making chili and pea soup and yeah, all kinds of silly business. All right, what's that? You want to say hi? Hold on, Corbin wants to say hi, everybody. Here we go. Hello, ladies. Hey, what's happening? All right, all right. There you go, buddy. Your moment in the sun. Okay, so we've got some different things to try out. I've been doing this little application test where I'm trying different markers and seeing what is and what is not going to hold its shape if I use paints and things like that over top. And so I've been testing that out. And we're going to try a little bit more of that here. So this is a Faber-Castell. This is some Sharpie. And what else did I have? Oh, I was going to try a Rodanizuki. There we go. No, that's another Faber-Castell. Pay attention, Runciman. I know, Corbin, I know. Corbin's like, you blew it, man. You picked up the wrong one. What's the matter with you? Everybody say meow, buddy. Corbin, meow, Corbin. Everybody say meow to you. He's like, yeah, Ed. So I was thinking, why don't we test this principle out, this theory out here? Now I've got, where did I put it? There it is. Are you hiding? So I've got a water brush, you know, reservoir brush here. That doesn't. So, okay, the Faber-Castells held up. Woo-woo! That's exciting news. All right, so we're going to draw something with that and see what that gives us. So where's that Faber? There it is. I don't have any real plans here either. It's just one of those things where I'd like to try some stuff out. I thought that maybe, oh, Corbin's climbing up. I don't know if you can hear the purring, but there's a lot of it. He's a purring guy. He's looking at my phone, puzzled because it meowed. Huh. Corbin, you're throwing off, Kika. What are you doing? All right, so yeah, I had a couple ideas in mind to do, but I think that what the fastest thing to do would be is I'm going to use these stencils first and foremost and just clunk up the space. Now, I mentioned about doing jelly plated surface, but I just want to try this. It's really, you know, sitting on my head. Just to give this a go. This is a mostly dead marker that I'm using right now, which is fine because we're going to paint white over it. I need to pick up some gouache because gouache looks to be really effective for painting over top of black inks. So that's exciting to me. Yeah, there's this. You died. Okay. So there's the start. Grabbing another one. Everybody say goodbye. He's had his time. This will probably be much, much darker. That's okay. Yeah, there you go. It's all right. Kind of ideal, really. I want that messy texture. I'm not being very specific about filling in these stenciled images very much. Not worried about that. We're just putting complex nonsense in our background before we start drawing over it. All right. Yeah. Where is it? There it is. There's got to be a faster way to do this. Let's try you. Let's try you out, Jacko. Oh, look at you. Huh? Look at you. Corbin stump biting everything. This is helping. I'm just deciding to chew on stuff as he's sitting beside me. All right. Okay, you got to get down, Buckaroo. Say goodbye to everybody. So long, everyone. All right, so now I've got these Faber-Castells. So what I wanted to try was to just put together a composition where I've got these various bits of business in our background. So I suppose we need to do a little bit more ornate business here. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to draw a picture of some characters in the street, because what I really want to do is to come in on this surface and really sort of challenge myself about using different mixed inks. And we can put some pencil in here and some crayon and some, just try different stuff. Why? Because it's our thing. We can do what we want. Let's put next person smaller. So I was reading an interesting article about how, depending on the time that you really kind of formed into whatever the creative individual that a person is, that time period tends to be highly influential on your subject matter. So if you're from, if you started really working and showing in the 1980s, then there's going to be a kind of an 80s aesthetic to stuff, or an 80s choice of colors or something, And I just find that interesting. This is a brush marker, by the way. So I'm just putting people on a street front, and then we'll start adding different things to it. But I'm being really loose and sloppy. Corbin is now sitting on his chair. I had my time in the camera. I'm good. You go do your thing, Will Ben. So I'm just going to draw some random elements from the other side of the street. Oh, Chris is driving. See you in some minutes. Okay, safe driving. Thanks for popping in before you headed out. So I'm putting some buildings across the street in, and playing with some shapes combinations to give these buildings frontage, Nothing too defined as yet, but we're going to get into that a little bit in a minute. So another thing I want to do is really to spatter some ink on here and things like that. Just to make it unnecessarily complex. We've got a laundry setup that plays classical music when the load is done. And it's kind of the nicest way ever to really be informed that, hey, you're time to collect your laundry. Move it on to the next machine. So I'm just doing these buildings here. Just lots of shapes. That's the thing about buildings, is that there's always so much going on. It's not just this uniform, everything looks the same. It's not how we live. We add and we subtract. We make changes to stuff. So here's our first thing, and we'll put lighting along the street. We'll do one on this side, much taller. Whoops. So there's that one on this side. So the other thing I'm taking into consideration is how the buildings move down. And I think that I need more grays and the like in here. But before we get into all that, let's get the majority of our composition in here. So there's our step down from our houses, and we'll put the occasional tall guy in the background. And yeah, all right. So what we need is another one of these characters, and then we'll do, I suppose it's off panel at this point, but there would be one here as well. Let's put a business in there. So here's our people on this side of the street, and then now we get to draw this perspective over here. So I'm just loosening this in freehand. We're not too worked up about it. And then let's use all this detail for somebody in our foreground here. Now, hopefully, like my quick test revealed is that this is going to hold up for what I want to do next. That's the hope. That's the hope. That's the dream. So here's a character that I'm drawing in our foreground. What is buzzing? Wow. What are you buzzing for? You buzzing thing. Here we go. All right. Okay, so there's our one draw. Gonna be a little creative with this one. But just get started, let's just get all the structure of it in first. So now I'm putting in a collar. That's a shadow around it. Phone keeps buzzing annoyingly. Moving up into this space, and then we'll draw a person. I really like these Faber-Castell markers. They have such a lovely tip, and they're very soft. And if you like that, if you don't like a lot of rigidity in a brush pen, this is a great one. And if this is going to be this nice to draw with, and I find out that it is truly watertight, then yeah, I might need to be considering this for these larger projects. So I'm drawing in a little face here. Put in some ear. Back of that ear. There's the lobe. And then there's the hair. So we'll put this hair coming this way, and then we'll do a little bit more with that in a moment or so. But in the meantime, so there's our basic. Oh, no, there isn't. I haven't drawn this side of the street. What am I doing? As soon as I put the lid on, I'm like, there's nothing here. So let's bring something in here. Let's put some lines going this way. I find that sometimes I'll do this. Let's just give me a second to show you. Is that I'll tile buildings, you know, which was a very common, really ugly decoration form in the 1980s on malls and things like that. But, you know, so we got some more people back through here. A couple more elements. So, couple more buildings. There we go. So there's this side of the street. All right. So hard to figure out what in the world is going on here. I know. So I'm going to do a couple things. One, I'm going to look for the thing that I just had in my hands, and I set down somewhere, and now I don't know where I've set it. Oh, it's because I covered it up with my board. So here's, I'm going to try this, see if this is manageable. This is water resistant, the Dale Rowney, and so I really should have filled the brush with this. And I think I will. I think I'll empty out one of the drawing brushes that I have and fill it with this ink instead, because this would be handy dandy. So I'm just putting some ink on the end of this toothbrush, spattering it through here in the clothing and the streets and the, you know, put a little bit of texture in this, the jacket with the ink that's left on that brush. Toothbrush. For brushing your tooths. Right, bud? Everyone's like, that's a stupid joke, man. Okay, so now I've spattered some ink on here with the toothbrush. And what I've got next is, yeah, this Dale Rowney's the way to go. Very exciting times at the OK Corral. Are you as well? The P.H. Martin. Light fast, archival, waterproof when dry. Woo-woo! Okay, so, because I don't know that this is. So I'm going to shake up the brush, get this ink cooking. But before that, whoops, I'm going to make a mess in my studio and spill ink all over the place, which is what I just did. That's okay. That's okay. It's fine. It's all going to be fine. So I've got a brush here that I've charged up with this ink. Now I'm going to start cutting out things. Yeah, that's flat or dried really quick. So now I'm going to start coming in and going over some of these little bits of details in the background and reducing them down, but they're not disappearing, mind. They're just softening. But the Faber-Castell is not bleeding like crazy as far as I can tell as yet, so that's good news. I'm going to come in a minute as well with the background colors, that the background markers that I used for some of these details, though they're bleeding. That's all right. So I'm cutting back some of these details a little bit by going over it with the white ink, and then we'll do the same thing in here. I was initially going to try using acrylic for this. I thought I might just give this a bang first. But I got a couple other things. Got some pencil crayons to use, and I've got China marker. I'm going to implement a little bit of that in here. Oh, I've used a black tray to put my pencil crayons in, and just put a black pencil crayon in there, and now I got to dig it out somehow. So I'm going to come in, and I'm going to take this gray, it's Premier pencil. I don't know the brand, I'm sorry. I think I've taken it off, but I'm putting some grays in here, and then we're going to make something of this. The reason that I'm throwing this down first is that it's just building up this complexity. So when I come in with the white and cut out, it's going to hopefully pop. So you can be loose and sloppy. And then discover all kinds of interesting things in the marks that you've made. It's a fun way to put in color too, by the way. You can add all kinds of additional elements and have them recede into the background because this is dark. These values are blacks, and then when we go back over here, it's all light grays. Same through here, same through this building. You carry that block down that way. And then now I can do some things like adding in some patterning, like plaid on this jacket. So this is kind of a haphazard way to do the thing. But I find that I enjoy coming at it from this way. Building up, pulling back, building up, pulling back, you know. That's wet. Where did I put that brush? Okay. There we go. Hold on a second. Well, I think we're right. I think we're all right. So I'm going to use this white now. On my brush. And then we're going to flick some of this over here as well. Just again, for our interest's sake, right? Just additional complexity, just to. So I don't know how well you can see that, but I've speckled white all over the surface anyhow. I had to get a new reservoir of water over here because you couldn't see. There. Now I've got acrylic and a simple brush. And so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to start using the acrylic to cut some shapes into. Where did I put the water? I just had it. Literally just had it. So I'm going to cut some shapes into this background. So it sticks out just a little bit. Just make it pop. This works for all kinds of different ways of mixing combinations of this. It's kind of fun. But if you've got this expectation of far more control, you want crisper whites and things to make them jump off of their backgrounds. This is a good way to do it, is don't necessarily worry about masking it off the whole time. Do whatever it is that you need to do in your earlier stage, and then just come back in and pull it back. Of course, the challenge is planning, you know, being loose enough to let it happen, right? But I love doing stuff like this. There's a expediency that it allows you. And as long as you're not uptight about perfection, I mean, it really lets you dive into that expediency. I'm sure that more control will develop over time. Make your drawings come to life. Oh, that's very nice of you to say. But can you see in the camera? Can you see the white popping? That's what I'm curious about. Because that's the sort of thing I'm chasing there. And I'm using a really bad brush for this. Because it really shouldn't matter too much. So now we can take the white paint and really throw down some opaque white skies. You go over some of these patterns that we did before. Start pulling them back in a big way. But to scan it, you're going to get fun textures and things on there. Yahoo! But seriously, that's something that has to dry. So this does work well with the Faber-Castell brush pen, brush marker. It does work well with that. And here comes our big test. But like I said before, the brush that I'm using is terrible. Maybe I need to switch to a better brush. This is bordering on gross, Corbin. It was bordering on gross brushwork. Gross. Corbin's like, yes, it was. It really was. Chris is almost back. So we're going about this area again. The white acrylic is going to work much better than the white ink did. So I didn't just spackle black ink on the surface here. I threw some white down as well. So there's no real expected combination for that. Go with what feels right. Here, this brush is too soft. Maybe I needed that chunkier, uglier brush. No. Trust in your brush, man. So yeah, we're pulling out some of these lines that we were losing before. Let's see if I can get it. So the way I have it set up in the studio is that I can spin around in my chair and access all the painting stuff. I can spin back around in my chair and I can access the immediate drawing stuff. It's all kind of handy that way. It works for me. It lets me lean into being impulsive. This needs some pink. You can access pink. So here's our young person in the foreground. Again, I'm back to using that terrible brush because I was getting things out of that I want back. So now we're going to start reducing out from the the background, you know, the grays and stuff like that we have in here. Now we're going to start pulling back, throwing some white in there so we can establish our clothing pattern here. Hopefully people will recognize that there's some plaid going on in this shirt. It's a little repetitive pattern, that's all. I like the dirty part of, the reason I'm using this nasty brush is that I like all the crazy bristles at the end and how they're making the marks dirty, you know, like extra little scribbles and squiggles and things around here. I enjoy that. That sort of gives a little life, like a little energy to it. That may well be a good contributor to that. Other people look at it and go, those are terrible marks, man. Terrible. Do you even know what end of a brush to aim at the surface? Stop yelling at me. But there's a happy little thing going on in that I like. Again, a little more white on here. Push this back. So I'm going to come in again and bring some more pencil crayon into this. Pushing these values back. Not being too precious about it. Just because we can. Yeah. And yeah, set this down, try to remember where I put that black pencil. Use the white. Oh, I know. It's in I'm a silly Billy. I put it in here. So now we've done spattering. We've done, see, told you it's hiding. We've done some spattering with black. We've done some spattering with some white. We've done some gray. We did a bunch of textural stuff at the beginning. And then we came in with some gray pencil, which we're going to do some more of. And just adding all of these little bits of information in here as we went along. Just doing a little bit more of that business. And then we're going to put some more of this pattern detail in here. Again, it does not have to be perfect. As long as we get the idea that this is a plaid jacket, that's more important than it being perfectly plaid. So moving the lines around with the folds helps to identifiably, you know, remind that there are folds and ripples and whatnot in this outfit. It's going to gray out that area rather than blacking it out. And here as well. So color gray in this guy. So I'm going to throw some colors down too in a second. Let's put a line through there and a bit of an outline for a person here. Still wearing all black and a black background. Start to put in our other side of the street this way. So now I'm pulling back out of the black by putting in some whites in there. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what we did. Okay, so let's see, what do I got? What do we got nearby? All right, folks, we've got a kind of a mauve, we've got an orange, we've got, let's find a yellow. Yeah, we got a yellow. Let's do a little complementary action here. Wow, you're a lovely pencil. That's over there. Chris says, nice as those only gouache. No, it's acrylic. It's ink, Faber-Castell drawn. We've drawn with a Faber-Castell brush tip marker. We drew this in quick. We also used a bunch of gray Faber-Castell to put random patterning in the back and a little bit of alcoholic marker as well. And then we've spattered on here with water resistant ink in black, and then we spattered on it again in white. And now we're putting, and then we came in with some acrylic paint and some pencil crayon. And now we're going to put some colors to it. So that's so far what we've been up to. Oh, I know what I was going to do. I wanted to switch that gray into a black for a young person's hair. Okay. Just using the side of the pencil there. We can do a little bit more like that along here, gray out the sidewalk, push it back a little bit. Give a sense of distance doing that, hopefully. Okay, so now I'm going to come in with the yellow and the purple and an orange. So some of these, I'm going to put some, this is going to represent sunny parts. It's the sunny side of the street. And this is going to represent shady parts. Ooh. So hopefully that's starting to change up our composition a little bit. I'm picking and choosing. So when I scan this, so hopefully a lot of the little details and the spatter and things like that will pick up, because this is like almost polka dots. You know, I wouldn't necessarily want to lose those things. Now, I'm going to put this color in, and I'm going to do something that may well seem a little counterintuitive. And that is that I'm going to come in again with white and put some white acrylic over here again. And it's the same idea as earlier. You know, we're building up a little bit, and then we're pulling it back again. So I got these two values. I'm going to monkey around with the orange as well in a second. But for now, I'm trying to limit myself. I try to limit myself all the time, really. And because it makes you have to think, if you've only got so many things accessible to utilize, it really makes you have to think about what it is you're including. Usually when I would draw images with inks, the reason that I'm trying to retool myself is that I would do them huge. Like I would do a drawing of a face at, 4 feet or whatever, 3 feet. And that's what I would do back when I was exhibiting in galleries and in school and things like that. And I really sort of toned it back. That's the challenge of working smaller, like in a sequential format or something, is that unless you have the facility to, capture, your images by shooting with camera. And that it takes a lot of things, like having a really good understanding of lighting. And I cannot figure out the lights in my studio at the moment. So, let's just say I'm not doing that. But now I'm putting some directional lines in here. Adding a little bit of interesting shape to our side of the street here. And we're going to come back in with that white in a second. So I haven't got too much into this person's jacket, and I'll do that as well. So okay. So this is just this rough brush with all the bristles all wackadoo. And so now I'm coming in and do a couple of things with this. So spattering some white. I don't know what is going on with these cats right now. They're making lots of noise. Corbin, what are you doing? So hopefully you can see that spattling or spackling or whatever you want to call it coming in there. And then let's cut some shapes. Let's do some dancing. Put something down, take something away. If I was teaching karate on a deck somewhere, or somebody that I was forcing to say, sand and stain the deck, I would give some advice like, marks on, mark off. Somebody would make a movie of that, and we don't need that. So for our rough scenario here, where here's our street view, it's not perfect, but it's perfect for me. Christians. We haven't put details in faces. We haven't, the only one who's a person is this one. Now I'm going to Corbin's playing with me, or playing with his toys behind me. He's having fun. It's a nice thing when cats will come and play beside you. Look at me, I'm practicing hunting. Okay, so I'm going to do something kind of weird here. And if this shows up in the scan, grand. But I'm putting clouds in the sky by putting the paint down in such a way as there's texture to it that moves across the sky as though, here's some clouds. It's a bit of silly fun business, but look at me, I'm Van Gogh. I'm going to paint some flowers. Okay, so now I'm going to come back in and do a little more on the pavement. I think in order to make this kind of fair, I need to scan it and get it happening here. See, I like the circles and squiggles and things in the background. I like them. It just lets your eyes play. That's the whole see something different each time kind of a vibe. So that's applying some more of the acrylic. I'm going to set this aside for a sec. 1 hot minute. And now, so I've got the purple and the yellow that I've been putting into things. And I'm going to continue to do so here. Little applications of the purple through the jacket. And then through even into the dark sections as well. It's a nice thing about pencil crayon over ink is that you can punch it right over top of the blacks, right? And it sort of helps it with the, see like this purple line here, that helps in this, your human eyes understands that light part, dark part. Let's put some marks through here. Getting ink on or paint on my fingers. That ain't the first time that's happened. I remember many a moon ago, the 5 of us summering in Rangoon. By heavens, we were covered in paint. It's a long story. So, just throwing in some more lines to sort of kick in that texture a little bit. Doing the same thing with the yellow. It just ties it across, right? It doesn't have to make perfect sense. We just need the eye to wiggle around. We gotta get them eyes wiggling. The eyes wiggling around all over the picture. So I'm carrying over some of the yellow pencil mark into the shadowed area. And then a tiny bit more up here. A bit of yellow to join in up there. So now we're going to do a little bit in Throw some yellow over this person's outfit. And purple in this one. Yeah, that kid's got pop. People might realize that. Oh, that's a something. That's a somebody. Put some light yellow markup in the sky there. Why? Because. Let's see what else. Okay, so I'm going to come in with that acrylic again. Yep. And then we'll cut the ears, the hair back around the ears. And then we're going to punch into our pattern one more time. One more time. So hopefully this is looking like a jacket head. A jacket head. Yeah, I'm good with that. I'll put color in over that in a second. And a little bit more white in that area there. Okay, so I picked up the orange and I've done nothing with it. So let's figure out some use for that. I'm amazed you do perspectives really fast for urban settings. It's a perspective line thing. We think about where the point goes to, and this isn't perfect by any means, but as soon as we can figure out that magic point that I just put in with the orange, then it starts to come together. So just one more value to put in here. Maybe we'll pull back out again in a second. Just one more mark, one more thing, just to spread it through. Add some more movement and direction, and it'll pull the eye around so it's not just feeling like it's flattened out with the yellow and the purple, the complementaries. Throwing this in should add a little bit of depth. It's very nice of you to say that, Chris. Appreciate that. Okay, so let's ginger up this kid. Doesn't have to be perfect. So one more thing, I'm gonna pull this back in. This is the Faber-Castell brush marker. And so I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna just noodle in a couple of little spots where I really want to punch some solid little opaque little hits of black. little things that move the eye around. So I'm doing it here so as to help to draw this little kid out of there. And it could. This one all dressed in black. It's Mary Mac. So this little ticks. Little dweezels. Little moon unit. Little Ahmad Zappa. And I'm going to come in here and do the same thing. So ideally, now we didn't put any flesh tone in on anybody or anything like that, but ideally, I mean, we could still, but that's not what's going to bring somebody in or detract them out at all. I mean, I can do a light punch of orange over that person, but I don't know if I want to or not. I think I'm more keen to not. I don't know. That's hopefully given some shape, some depth to this person's outfit. But there's our composition. Yeah. Okay. So I wish I had cameras that would pick up some of these details better. But there's all kinds of white splashed throughout here. You can see it right here in the jacket, but it's all through this black specks and white specks all throughout there. I kind of lacks that. And let's just do one more little bit of that business. I don't know what I did with the toothbrush. There it is. So we'll do one more bit in here. So just putting a bunch of brush ink on the end of this brush. So there's a little more of that spackling going on up there. In the hair, which doesn't really show up on my sloppy cameras, but it shows up on my thumbs. Okay, so there's today's doodly-doo, and I hope that's been interesting. A different weird way of applying, colors and inks and different medium and different combinations, and one over top of the next, and different random colors, and just to sort of enhance it in areas, move the eye around a little bit with these. But you got to make sure that if you're going to do a bright red pony in the center of it, ask yourself if that's the only real hit of color, or if that color specifically is purposeful in order to get all of the focus drawn to the bright red pony. I did a yellow jacket on this person, in order that it may work in the same regard. Now that I think about it. Just going to give a little bit more shape to it. So there we are. Here's a quick and dirty mixed media sketchy wetchy kind of a thing. Yeah, so this is a fun way to come at it, and a fun way to assemble an image. Putting this tape on here to hold it together. And I'll do the same at the top. I like putting tape in things, and I like working right over top of the tape. Like, here, I'll show you one more thing. One more bit of fun in the sun, huh? Put that there. Put it here. And we'll put one right there. So when you've got something like this in play, and, you know, honestly, part of this is purposeful to hold together the two pieces of paper that I did this on top of. But you can still come in with your white paint and take the tape back out. But the beauty of it is that the texture of the tape is going to stay there, and that light green value to it is still going to stay there. So you're not really painting it out per se, but it's one more piece of interesting business going on in your background. I love doing stuff like that. Just for scuss. There's so many different things to explore in mark making and putting combinations of stuff together. That, you're always going to find something that, makes you think of something else, something that inspires you in a different direction. That's fun. Go with it. But the tape in there like that, people will be like, is that tape? It's just the most common response I get to it. Yep, it's tape, all right. Why is there tape in it? Why does the Pope bump his tail on the ground when he hops? Wait, no, that's a bunny. That's a bunny. I'm thinking about the bunny. So yeah, so there's our quick, fast, ugly doodle today. And of course, the reason I have the sheet of polyethylene on my desk is so that I can wipe it off easier when I'm doing things like this. But there we go. So I hope this is interesting. So it's a very different, far less controlled approach to page making than last night's marker drawing. But it has a completely different vibe. But there's, just different ways that we can come at the same thing, and at the same time find new and interesting ways of seeing and saying things. So yeah, thanks very much everybody for coming on. I'll get this scanned and put together. I'll get our marker drawing a little further along and show people. But for the time being, I think that's it for me today. All right. Thanks very much, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow, 12 p.m. EST. And I hope to see you there. Thanks, everybody that came out today. Thanks for the moderators at the Mostest. Thanks to anybody's questions and stuff like that. I appreciate it. If there's anything that you're interested in trying or interested in finding out about that I might have some idea in, just let me know, and we'll do what we can to help out in that process. Okay, that's it for me. Bye for now, everybody. See you tomorrow.